Hello, welcome. Um, Today we are hoping to share with you some interesting conversation on how to talk about election 2020 with young children. I am Jillian Best Adler, and this is my friend and colleague, Christine Haley Brennan. We work at First Up, Champions for Early Education, and we are early childhood professionals. Um, Between us, we have 5 children. And Christine, having older children than me, is my sort of go-to guru for all things marriage, family, parenting, and professional. Um, so Christine, I want to give you a chance to say a little bit about yourself and your family.
Awesome. Thank you, Jillian. I'm so happy to be here. And as a early childhood educator, since I was a teenager myself, it's interesting to have a teenager now. So I have a teenager and a 12-year-old, and working in this field for so long, it's really interesting to see how they have become now. And I just love speaking with you and with other families and teachers about the way we can help our children understand what's going on around them.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of conversations in my house because my son is a kindergartner and I have babies. So our professional work I am living through on a daily basis. So I'm having this unique opportunity to think about what we tell children about complex things in real life and in my professional life. So I'm really excited to talk to you about more of these issues, both today and our election topic and in the future with other topics around social justice and activism with our children.
Yeah.
So I want to start off with thinking about how to introduce the concept of an election, of voting, and of government with young children who only recognize systems that are very small and very easily connected to them. How do we help them see something that impacts them, but from such a distance? How have you talked to your kids about the election over the
Absolutely.
years?
And, and it's such a big concept that even I've been learning over the years as a voter, to be honest, and as a participating citizen. So it's funny because what we do know about early childhood and little kids in general, parents, teachers, that whatever's kind of happening around them is what they're going to be taking in and asking about and having that curiosity. So a lot of what I think I did, because I remember being where you are now, you're doing all you can do as a mom and you're doing all you can do as a worker, and you do the best you can, but is meeting them where they are right then. So it's really important to also recognize that some of the conversations you and I talk about with your son who's 5 is different if it's a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. And so kind of just knowing your child, and each child is different, as I know you know, and meeting them where they're at. So I'm interested in how your 5-year-old might have brought it to you. Was it something that he did hear or he's getting from school?
Yeah. He definitely has been talking about the candidates in the presidential election a lot over the last several weeks. And he has a strong opinion, which, in our household, we have strong opinions, and he has definitely taken that on. And it felt important to me for him to understand the values behind our opinions. So we do a lot of values-based talking, but I wanted to help him understand that there's a reason for our strong opinions. And so I started by trying to explain like what a president even does, like what's a president responsible for. And I framed it as the president's responsible for taking care of the people in the country, and that people have different opinions about what's the best way to take care of the country.
Yeah.
And I've explained how the current president and the president that immediately preceded him had very different views about how to take care of the country. And a lot of people have a lot of feelings about, a lot of big feelings and reactions about those differences. And right now, a lot of people are nervous about what's coming next. And will the next president be the same president or a new president? And will they have values that align with your own household family values? That it leads to this sort of domino effect of, well, if you're talking about a president, are you also talking about Congress? And there's also a lot of conversation about the Supreme Court. And I'm not a legal scholar. I took senior civics in high school, and I do like stay abreast of the news, but these were things that I had to like really like dig down deep to like, what's the core of this information that I can deliver in a way that makes sense?
Yeah. And I think you actually hit it where you said the values, like that idea of what is it that our family values. And when we start, it definitely sounds like your son, who I do know, is responds well to questions like that, so that he can start to put together what he knows. And when we start to talk about values, it does kind of begin to place his, because he's at a point where he did say to you, I know the names of the candidates and I have strong feelings about them. And right now that is very true of this country. So to explain like what a president does, or why we're picking a leader, or why people feel very strongly, really does speak to our family units, is coming back to the family, and parents all over just being with their children and talking about what is it that we do value in this home. Is it that do we care about how we treat the planet? So in this family, if we care about how the planet is affected by us, then we're going to be looking for leaders who want to protect the planet. And it can be simple like that. I think you're in a precarious situation, because this is a precarious situation in election where there's also Supreme Court discussions and Congress discussions where obviously you and I have been through a few elections, and that does come up, but I think it is so forefront right now. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it reminds us that we're not just voting for a president, we're voting for how we collectively want to treat the people in this world, or in our city, or in our state,
Right.
And the planet.
And that's exactly language that I think resonates with kids, is how do you treat people? Because we talk to them about that all the time. We talk to them about what we believe they should be doing with their siblings and with their classmates and with us. This is how you treat people. This is how you don't. This is how you have responsibility in your household. You do the chores. You have a responsibility to contribute. And that it's, you can just sort of make an analogy between things that they already understand and the things that are bigger and harder to pinpoint, but talking about like the rules,
Exactly.
the Congress makes the rules. Who in your household makes the rules? Who's responsible for making sure everybody's taken care of? In our house, we have 3 adults in the household who are responsible for the children, and we make the rules, and we whether you're hearing the rule from mom and then following it because Mimi enforced it, doesn't matter. The rules are this. And I, described the way that the Supreme Court works as they're the ones who explain what the rule means. Because mom said that you can't have a treat before dinner, but then dad's the one who's actually there at dinner time, and he's the one who's going to be enforcing what you're allowed to eat or not eat before dinner. Is it a cookie that's a treat? Is it an apple that is a treat? No, an apple might not count as a treat, and so you can have an apple before dinner, although the rule says no treat before dinner, right? That's the Supreme Court's job. That's like dad's job right now, is to decide how the rule lands in this particular moment. And these are things that are overlapping for our kids in a way that we probably couldn't have expected for other elections. Like when I was growing up, I remember presidential elections being about the president, and I didn't really have a clear context for so much else. And I know
Yeah.
that they're feeling our distraction and our concern. Like, you know, we're definitely talking about the news more in front of our children. We're
Mhm.
glued to the phone. Every time there's an update, we're looking to see what's happening next. It's very of the minute. And I
Yeah.
know that they sense our distraction and you know, are kind of owed an explanation for why we might feel a little bit more nervous or excited or just preoccupied.
100%. That's another piece with them as children being around us. They're going to respond to our anxieties or stressors or excitement or what it may be. And there is a lot of up and down and connection to minute changes in what's happening in the world. And so parents may be feeling big feelings, and this may even come into saying, you know, I'm really feeling overwhelmed, and I really would like to see a leadership that values such and such. And it's really hard when I'm not feeling that that's going to happen. But where we pull it to election and vote, hopefully, is that is the one way that I can help regulate that feeling or use my voice to help make the change that I'm hoping to see. And it may also, this digs into voting and having big feelings and being worried about not having something happen. What things are in our power?
Yeah,
And
I'm imagining that you have taken your kids to vote for
yeah,
many elections over the years.
yeah. So, and now you can't. And I really was, even today, I voted already, but even then, I know they're older, but I kind of missed having them come. And also, they shouldn't be coming, I obviously health wise, but it was such a great learning opportunity. And they both talk about that still. And I really, as a mom, I became um, more activated in my politics because I wanted them to see that I had a voice. And so I didn't realize that voting for board members of a school that they would be attending eventually, or the mayor, right? Things that do affect our town and our city.
Mhm.
So I would bring them, or, you know, and if you can't, you talk about it. And there are so many great clips right now that Sesame Street has, or Daniel Tiger, just to give them the idea of it. If that's where they're going, if they're
Mhm.
looking for what it looks like. But this really resonates with children. We always try to protect them from what they're actually ready for. Now, I'm not saying we should go out and start to have these discussions because we think they should know. But as they're asking you questions or bringing things to you, or if you happen to have your day for voting and you let them know, or it comes into your environment and theirs very naturally, they're ready for these things. They're looking for what makes sense in the world, and how do I fit? And how do I have, ultimately, how will I find power for my own voice
Mhm.
in this world, whether it's my neighborhood or my house?
Right. I mean, everybody who's ever heard a child say, "That's not fair," understands that children have an innate sense of justice that they are seeking. And voting is a perfect chance for them to understand democracy. I mean, we have democratic choices in our home. Sometimes children get to choose what they wear. They get to choose,
Yeah.
you know, between a couple of options of what's for dinner. You know, you can simulate voting with your young children by giving them a chance to vote for what's for dinner on like the special night of the week, and they can choose, like, are we voting for cookies, are we voting for brownies? And you know, depending on their age, you could have them like just raise their hand for what they want. Little ones always raise their hand for both options,
Yeah.
because why not just try to get all of the things?
Fairness.
Fairness, we want
I
it
think
all.
it's, they want it all. I'd like fair.
um, older kids could write it down, have a secret ballot. They write it and drop it into a cup, and then you pull one out. Or you know, in my classroom back when I taught 2 and 3-year-olds, we would vote with the applesauce packs. Like we would have different flavors of applesauce packs, and some had a purple cap and some had a red cap. And we would say, if you want, you know, to name the class pet Gil, then you can drop a red cap into the bucket. If you want to name it like Bubbles, you drop the other cap in.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it gave them a sense of ownership of the name, and a chance to feel disappointed if they didn't get the name pick that they wanted, but, you know, had a chance to see the process rather than just being bowled over.
Yes. And I think what you said too is there's this other lesson in disappointment, you know, and what do we do with that? And what happens after that? And everybody feels big emotions, and disappointment can be a part of it. But shielding our children from the idea that they aren't going to be disappointed in the world really isn't realistic.
Yeah. That's where we get those large meltdowns from adults, is because as children they didn't necessarily have practice in a safe, comfortable environment to feel disappointed without it being fixed for them.
Right. It's funny as we're talking about this, because I think I've been feeling big emotions too around election and voting, and just, you know, revisiting my own values and what I hope to make change in the world. But it actually gives me more hope when we're talking about this, when I hear us talking about how children really can take this on and really feel that power that comes with making your voice heard. And also, if your voice isn't heard, what happens next? And what other things can we do?
I think that is a perfect place for us to close our conversation for today, because that is a conversation I would love to keep having with you. Is how do we help our children understand some of the big things in the world, and how do we use our power and our voices even in situations where it might feel like we're powerless. And I think that we can offer our children that hope that you're talking about for the power that they can have as they continue to grow. I'm picturing your very powerful children right now,
and yours
feeling very hopeful about your voters, your upcoming voters in the next presidential election, right? You're going to have at least one in the polls.
Wow. You just reminded me, one will be voting next time. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is very relevant, salient work to build these future activists. So we do hope that you revisit with us next time, when we next have time to pull together another conversation. So stay tuned. Follow First Up on social media.
Let's tell them what we want to talk about.
Oh, go for it. What are our topics that we're going to be sharing?
We're going to be talking and digging into social justice, anti-racism, identity, sexual identity, racial identity, activism, and bringing all of this to our children as we're raising them, so that we do have children that are full of hope and ready to support others.
That's it. So follow us, like us, and stay tuned for more in the future. All right. Good luck, everyone, with the election week news cycle and the unprecedented waiting period that we might face in waiting for results.
Absolutely. Thank you.